In communicating with others about your project, it is not only important to consider what you will say, as we discussed in our Making the Case module, but also who you will communicate with. The purpose of these planning tools, the communication plan and stakeholder map, will give you an opportunity to do this. There are two key questions to help you prioritize who you will communicate with. The first is, how influential is the person or group? Specifically, how great is their ability to influence whether or not your project succeeds? For example, if you want to change math placement policies at a college, the math department chair and vice president of instruction will be highly influential. The chair of the counseling department will be somewhat influential, and the president of the classified senate will not be influential. A second question is, how supportive are they? Are they already on board? Are they on the fence? Or are they already in opposition to your project? For example, it may be that the chair of the counseling department is highly supportive of changing math placement policies, but the chair of the math department may not be. Often the answers to these questions are not black or white. Stakeholders lie on a continuum of the scales of influence and support. The stakeholder map is one way to help you visualize these axes and to help you develop a communication plan. In the upper right quadrant, you'll find groups or individuals who strongly support your project and have influence. These are your champions or messengers. In contrast, in the upper left quadrant, you'll find groups who are influential but who strongly oppose your project. These are your opponents. In our module on engaging resistance, we explored strategies for engaging these groups or individuals. In the lower right, you'll see people who strongly support your project, but who have little influence in your institution. And in the lower left, you'll see people who oppose your project, but who lack influence also at your institution. These are two groups that you will not need to prioritize in your communication plan because neither group yields influence at your institution, meaning neither group can help your project succeed, nor make it fail. So, who should you prioritize in a communication plan? You can see in this map that your targets really are the people in the top middle section of the grid. These are the people with influence and who do not actively oppose your idea, but are also not quite supporters yet. This is the group you will want to pay special attention to when developing a communication plan. Before filling out the stakeholder template, it may be good to brainstorm who the stakeholders are in your setting. This will help you not to overlook certain groups who are influenced by your project. It may be good to revisit the ecosystem map tool to make sure that you have not overlooked any key groups in your communication plan. This slide lists some of the common stakeholders in educational settings. Finally, once you know who you will prioritize in your communication plan, you will think about what you want to communicate. For each stakeholder, what do you want them to think about your project? What do you want them to feel? What do you want them to do? For example, when advocating for changing math placement policies at a college, it may be that a key person identified for the communication plan was a senior faculty member within the math department. And so that might be someone to target a communication to. At the end of the communication, you would want them to think that it's in students' best interest to change the placement policies. You want them to feel a sense of urgency that this is something we need to do right away. And what do you want them to do? You may want them to chair a task force on looking at how those placement policies might be changed. A thoughtfully crafted communication plan is key to the success of your project.